Can I get a drum roll? We are going into our panel discussion for all those questions you've been asking.
Many questions.
Moving up and down in your seats because you're wondering, where are my questions? Why are they not being answered? Now is your time. And at this moment, I would like to introduce our panelists. Of course, you heard from Samantha from New Growth Naturals, but we also have Sasha Gay Nicolette Sampson. We have to call out the name. Yes. And she is the founder of Nikki Natural YouTube channel, a wonderful, beautiful woman of God. Yes, of course. Amen. She represents Christ so well. And we have Sister Lydia Longe. Yes. She's going to be joining us as well. And we just want to highlight that Sister Nikki Natural, she has a YouTube channel, as we said before, and she gives us wonderful tips, and not only tips, but hairstyles. And if you look very carefully, she has one of her very lovely hairstyles, very simple. It does, yes, show us. Come on now, yes. And she shows, not only the look of
You're breaking up a bit, Benita. I'll just pick up. We have Sasha Gay, she was saying, and the name of her channel, Nikki Natural YouTube channel. So you can go ahead and check out some lovely styles. She does a lot of shorts, and we'll be seeing some of that as we go further into our program. And we have Samantha, you can step into the room as well and join us on this panel discussion. Before we head into the question, what I realized, Benita, and I don't understand how you, Lydia and Sasha never put me on board, but all of the hairstyles to one side, and I'm just here.
Wow. Yes.
Everybody. I never got the memo, but you ladies look beautiful. You all look beautiful tonight, and we'll be heading right into our panel discussion. So we told our men that, we're not leaving you out. We're not leaving you out at all. We have the questions written down and we're going to get to them. But we want to address our men first. So we have them. They have been very patient here with us tonight. And we're going to answer some of your questions. And it was touched on, but we wanted to go a little deeper tonight. So we have men who struggle with hair loss as well. And we would like to know if there are any tips or any experience, any suggestions to help them with this challenge that they're having, hair loss in men. How would you advise our men?
I think Samantha spoke in depth about this topic, so I think that she could probably shed some more light on the solutions and stuff. If you don't mind, Samantha, as you went in depth into the type of alopecia and all of that, I think you could expound some more.
Right. So for male hair loss, more than likely they're suffering from androgenic alopecia, which, like I said before, is genetic. Yes, it can be treated, but professionally. What you can basically do is to research foods that, blocks DHT or help to block DHT, because DHT is responsible for that type of hair loss, that hormone. And that what DHT does is attach itself to the hair follicles and squeeze the life out of it. So what happened? The hair start getting miniature and it start getting finer. Eventually it disappears and you end up with a bald spot. So it start getting thinner and thinner and you lose that hair eventually. And you have like a horseshoe shape at the top of your head. But the key to catching this and treating this is to catch it from when it starts. So when the moment you realize that your hair has started to thin out, you want to go ahead and start treatment. You want to see a dermatologist. You want to see a trichologist. You want to see a hair loss practitioner. You want to research your food that blocks DHT. You want to take supplements that block DHT. You want to look for hair products that blocks DHT, because fortunately, there are a lot of products on the market. You may want to research them before that helps to block DHT, a lot of shampoos, a lot of topicals, but a natural way to block DHT topically and I have to make this clear. If you have androgenic alopecia, applying things to your scalp alone won't help. It will help to a degree, but you have to attack it from inside out because the problem is really on the inside. Outside is just a result of what's happening inside. But rosemary have the same effect as 5% minoxidil, and that's a complete natural herb that you can use to help to regrow the hair. You can apply, you can infuse your rosemary into your favorite oil, you know, and then you want to apply it to your scalp, but you have to do that consistently. It can't be just once per week. You want to do it like every night or so to really get that consistency, and that will help. But inside, you have to look into your diet. You have to look into taking the supplements that will block DHT. If it has progressed like over years, like over 10 years, is the hardest to bring it back. It's possible to bring back some of the hair, but over time, once it's exceeded 10 years, going to 11, 12 years, what happened? The hair follicles start becoming dormant, and they started, so they won't react to any form of treatment. So the key to treating this hair loss is to catch it when it starts, when it just starts. And there's a lot of knowledge out there publicly. A lot of persons think that, oh, this is just genetic and there's nothing I can do with it, and there's nothing I can do to deal with it. And as a result of that, they do not seek to get treatment. There's Rogaine, there's so many things that they do for this. But the thing about these type of treatments, once you stop, like I said, I cannot overemphasize, because you may think that, oh, the treatment is not working. They take time to work. So you may actually see results like anywhere from 9 months to a year to 2 years to really see the hair really coming back in its entirety. But after 4 months, you're supposed to be able to see it through a scope. Well, I use a scope to look at my clients' follicles to see what's happening. You're supposed to be seeing the new hair coming up, because it takes up to 4 months to regenerate hair. But over time, for it to have that fullness and thickness, it takes a lot of years to really gain that. You cannot lose that hair in 1 day or 1 year. It's going to take time, and that's where I think most people, you know, the pressure is on most people. They do not have the patience to deal with that. But once you're consistent and once you give it that time, you will see the hair regrowing. So the first thing I would suggest is for you to see a professional about this matter. If you can't afford to see a professional, you can try rosemary, infusing rosemary. You know, you can research products that blocks DHT. Another great product is soft palmetto, which they get from that plant, and that's awesome for that. You can take that internally as well as applying it topically as well. So there are so many awesome natural remedies that you can use, but it all depends. The effectiveness of these remedies totally dependent on how far progress that hair loss is. I hope I was able to answer your questions.
All right, yeah. Thank you so much. I really want to add this as well. It's very essential that men manage their stress levels as well, because stress can definitely cause your hair to fall out. So if you are in a stressful situation, you have to find ways to deal with your stress. So stresses of daily life, work stress, you have to manage that stress if you're looking forward to taking good care of your natural hair, right? So that's one of the things that I would encourage you to find ways of de-stressing. If you're stressful, you can't look into hair care, because over time it would the stress will actually place pressure on your body, and then you're so tense. Stress tends to actually cause you to produce negative hormones, and if you're producing negative hormones, your body is gonna be in constant fight, right? So you want to make sure that everything is in alignment. Mentally, you're okay, and then your body will work along with how you want it to work. So you have to control the levels of stress. Additionally, I want to say that I have done research as it relates to men and alopecia, and I realized that there's some studies that points to onion juice assisting in hair growth with men. So, but if you have adrenergic alopecia, then it may or may not work. But I've seen cases highlighted that males actually try it and it worked. I remember there was this point in time I was selling this product. It's some type of Jamaican black castor oil, and I gave it to this individual, this male, to try because I did not have a male client, and he actually used it on the bald spot. His father has a bald spot as well, so I guess it's genetic. And he used it, and we could actually see results. So you could probably try. And as our previous presenters had said, it doesn't necessarily mean that it will work, but it's always okay to try, right? So that's another option that you could consider. Try, see if it works for you. And if you don't get the results, it's fine. You just have to find a way to rock your bald head, your alopecia spot. You just have to rock it with confidence, right? So the Lord designed you this way, make use of it, all right? So however he designed you, if you got that bald spot, rock it with style, all right? So that's basically something I wanted to add for men and hair care. Also, in terms of moisturizing, it's something that definitely that men should consider. So if you're interested in having that particular hair care routine, similarly to a female routine. So a woman's routine, it can adopt a lot of things. So a lot of things that they have, or previous presenters had mentioned, you can adopt from this regime. So the shampooing, the type of shampoos that you're supposed to use, even though I have my view on some of these things, which I will discuss a little later, in terms of the pre-pooing and the deep conditioning and all of that, but we'll get to that further down. So a lot of these tips that were mentioned earlier, in terms of conditioning and shampooing, the type of shampoos, you can pick a thing or two from it and adopt it into your regimen. So that's my take.
So I have a question, right? Because I know we're on the topic of men. I know some males, their hairline, not necessarily, they don't necessarily go bald, but their hairline tend to recede. I also think it has a lot to do with the type of styles that they choose. So each time they do a style, so the barber keeps going further and further and further, and it recedes the hairline. No, I don't know if anybody has a remedy for someone who has a receding hairline in the case where it's not necessarily something that has to do with genetics, but it's just the way that they have been doing their, what you would call, no, their beauty cuts.
All right. In relation to that, I think massaging your scalp, that plays a very important role with hair growth. So if you want that hair to grow back, if it's not genetic related, then you can definitely massage, as I think Samantha and Lydia had made mention of that as well. So you massage the frontal portion of the head, and what the massage does, it increases blood flow to your scalp. And I'm not sure if you have heard about the inversion method. Anybody has ever tried the inversion method? Right. So that basically, that method is where you turn your head, basically hang down the head and actually massage the scalp. So you can massage with an oil, and that definitely helps to increase the blood flow to the area, and those hair that you want to grow back, it can assist. So it's not a guarantee that yes, but it's something that you can try. And it can definitely, because the science of it, it helps when you stimulate, you have to work your fingers. So not just have your hands, so work it, and it actually helps to pump the blood flow to the scalp, and that will assist with regrowing your hair. Thank you.
We're hearing from Nurse Sasha Gay. Just had to add that point. So we have Dr. Samantha Nurse Sasha in the house. I never knew about I know about the inversion method, and I have tried it. I don't know if I wasn't patient enough some years ago. I probably wasn't patient enough, but I never saw a difference. But I heard about it and I tried it, and we're inviting you. You know, it can't hurt to try as long as you're not hurting yourself.
All right,
And so
one thing
sure.
I just want to add, as you mentioned. So for the inversion method, if you're somebody that gets dizzy easily, it may not be recommended. I wouldn't recommend it for you, because you hang down your head for about 3 to 5 minutes and do the massage. For some persons, they get so dizzy and they feel lightheaded and they just might topple over. And we don't want that. So if you're lightheaded, when you hang down the head, you get dizzy, I don't recommend you to do it. Right?
Yeah.
So thanks for making that point. So if you can do it, right? So I should have said that.
Very true. I've tried the inversion. Daniel, you're one of those people that have no patience. But I've tried the inversion method and I'm like, that this definitely is not for me. But I can tell you, massaging helps. It helps to relax the mind, it helps to relax you, and also you feel a difference in your hair. Especially, this is now for our men and both females. I just wanted to also add, because it's an observation that men, their hair tends to grow back really fast. So they go to the barber and very often because their hair grows. Now, if you find that you're having hair loss situations, you probably have to look at what you're using. Sometimes we have to change the products that we're using, and moisturizing is important, especially as a male, not because you're not a female. It is important. So as we heard, water is good, and you heard of the lock method or the LCO, liquid cream oil. So you get say water, you put some moisture. You can even wet your hand, get a spray bottle, wet your hair, get an oil that works for you. You don't oversaturate your head, but then you put the oil in and you have the cream that seals in and all of that. And you watch to see the transition. For some of the men who thinks their hair is too dry, we recommend this method to you as well. And you'll be surprised to feel that the texture of your hair changes, becomes softer. And you might never know. You get some compliments, get the attention of some persons that you're probably trying to get the attention of. But yeah, we just had to put that in. Go ahead.
I mean, it's the season. You can go ahead,
You
Sasha.
had mentioned oversaturation, and that's something that I recently learned about, because a lot of naturalists will say, ensure that you have your spray bottle with water and wet that hair daily. And really and truly, for some persons, it's like you're telling them to destroy their hair. So depending on the hair type and based on how, even hair types, because you will hear that there are certain things that you're supposed to do for this particular hair type, and then you try it and it don't work for you, work against your hair. So you have to try and understand your hair. So you can actually overhydrate your hair and cause it to break and cause damage. So you have to do it in moderation. And I always say that whenever you're taking on a new regimen, it's always good for you to try it on a particular section of the hair and see how well your hair responds to it. I saw somebody in the comment section had asked a question about like when you hear you have different hair types. I'd really encourage you to try it on different sections. So wherever the hair types are, like for me personally, I have 3 different hair types, right? So some straight, some curly, and some persons also struggle with styling hair type like that, right? So I encourage you, if it's the straighter part up here, you use a section that is outside where, persons not gonna really see it, so you can tuck it under if it gets damaged. And if there's another hair type at the back, use just a small section and try that product or whatever regimen or routine that you're adopting on that section of the hair, and see how well it works, and then you decide if it's something that you want to add into your hair routine.
No, funny enough you said that, Sasha. I had a friend and she has low porosity hair. So oftentimes we hear that low porosity hair, it's hard to absorb the water. But what it actually does, it's hard to absorb, but it's hard to when it absorbs it, it takes a while now for that moisture to be released, if you get me, because the pores are so close. And so I had a friend, or I know of situations where they over moisturize the hair. So they add so much water, so much moisture. And because they had low porosity hair, it was so limp and almost damaged and dead because of all of that moisture in their hair. So you're right. And I agree, you have to know your hair and what works for your hair. And it comes through a lot of trial and error. Nita, before, I mean, we're kind of going into different mistakes, major mistakes that persons make in our natural hair care. I'm not sure if Lydia could just chime in and share with us if there are any major mistakes that women make or men with their natural hair care.
Oh yeah, sorry. Yes, I'll deal with the issue of women, since that's really what I focus on. So I'll deal with that. Women and mistakes that they can make with their natural hair, and it's simply just misdiagnosing. That's one of the biggest mistakes you can make with your natural hair. So as she mentioned, just the importance of understanding what your hair type and what's going on with your hair, how porous your hair is versus, how tightly knitted the hair shaft is, what to use on it, what not to use on it at whatever time. But one of the things that you can do to your natural hair to really damage your natural hair is to strip away the natural oils from your hair. The previous presenter, I mean, she used the scientific terms in cosmetology. So the hair produces, the natural oil that hair produces is called sebum. And if you strip that away by using, for example, a clarifying shampoo when the hair needs a deep conditioning shampoo. So you strip away your oils and then you leave the hair very exposed. Because if the hair, nowadays, ladies are using a lot of products on the hair. And so there's so much products out there that they pick a product and then, okay, they go and they do a clarifying shampoo, and the hair never needed a clarifying shampoo. The hair was not in a state for the hair to be stripped, and they strip the hair and then they leave the hair exposed. And after that, you realize that the hair starts to get dry, it starts to get brittle, it starts to break. Then they go and they try to get another product to put over it that made the condition worse, and then the hair just get messed up because persons are actually just simply misdiagnosing. Now, you have to know when to apply a clarifying shampoo to your natural hair, because natural hair on its own is not always holding the moisture that it needs. And when we talk about moisture, we're not speaking about oil. A lot of times we confuse moisturizing as oiling the hair. And that's not what we're talking about. We talk about moisturizers. And when we talk about deep conditioner, we're talking about conditioners that can penetrate deep into the cuticle of the hair and go really deep. So those are what you will find that you will need to have done professionally. One of the presenters mentioned things from your kitchen, and that's excellent. There are lots of things in your kitchen that will, yes, work for your natural hair. And it will not harm your hair. Unlike when you go and buy products, you will find that you can have the hair damage. Because just like, how you can take natural stuff into your body and it won't do you any harm because it's natural, the same thing. But at the same time, the end result will not be as quick. And sometimes, based on the state of the hair, you need an emergency treatment. So, getting your hair damaged, even by blow drying, as she said, you can use a blow dryer. Blow drying without heat protector is dangerous for your natural hair. If you don't have a so-called quote-unquote heat protector, you can go for a leave-in conditioner. If you have to blow dry and you don't have the proper heat protector to use on your hair. Wearing your styles for too long. Some of us as ladies, we wear the hairstyles for so long that it begins to lock, and then the process of detangling and all of that can cause severe damage to your natural hair. So yeah, I hope I answered that question.
Yes, you did. You did. Thank you. Thank you. So these are some of the mistakes that women make in their natural hair care regime. Samantha, I'm not sure if you want to chime in. And oh, Sasha, I see that you're on mute. You can as well. So we want to hear from you as well, Sam.
Somebody had mentioned in the group, in the chat, that going to the wrong cosmetologist that does not understand natural hair. That is so true. I've seen so many videos of persons saying, oh, I went to the cosmetologist and this is what they did to my hair. They took off so much, even when your hair wasn't that damaged and all of that. So that's another mistake. So you have to ensure that you do a thorough research, ensure that that person is certified, trained, and know exactly what they're doing. Or else you might end up ruining your natural hair.
And I want to add this, as Sasha Gay said, that you need to have somebody who have a love for hair to actually take care of your hair. Because you know what? Apart from all the products and stuff that is out there for us to use, there is also just that passion that comes out of your spirit that can transform someone's hair. And I mean, that's not something you get at school when you go and you do cosmetology, but out of your love for hair, your love for people, you can do a correction.
Yes, indeed. And not to belabor the point, but I know of persons who do certain things to your hair for their benefits. So for example, if you come to them and your hair too coily, they decide, I know of somebody that they put that texturizing cream in the person's hair to make it easier for them to handle. I know of persons who, as you said, Sasha, because they don't want to do all of the work, they just cut off all of the hair. Like, there are so many different things. So you have to ensure that you research who it is that you are going to, ensure that this person not only has the knowledge, but also the passion for people and for hair. Samantha, would you like to chime in before we go on to some of the other questions?
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Right, so you all are correct. Like the previous presenter just answered, I really thought about that. Like, I can't tell you how much clients that I've seen that were really on a hair growth regimen, and for some mistake they made to go to another stylist that totally destroyed their hair. And the way to combat that is really to do your research. It's that simple. Do your background checks. Like, their social media, most of the time these stylists, they have an Instagram page, they have Facebook page, you can go in early, see how they handle other people here. Like one of my clients, she would say to me, you know, Samantha, I made my appointment and I went and I was a little bit early and I sat down, but after I saw how she dealt with the client, I said, you know what, I have to go, but I'm going to pay anyway for the full service, but I have to go. She's not touching my hair. That's how she was serious. That's how serious she was with her hair. But the first thing that I need you to know, once you start developing a love relationship with your hair, and I'm so happy for the topic of this seminar, love is in the air. Once you love your natural hair, regardless of the texture, because a lot of social media and a lot of persons put emphasis on, you know, we Jamaica would call it pretty hair. Like if you have natural hair, once it's pretty, meaning that it's a lighter curl pattern and it has that nice little sheen that we call coolie or Indian people sheen. We think that that is good hair. And we don't see 4C hair or type 4 hair, which is 4A, 4B, 4C, which means, for those that don't understand, is how coily the hair is. As we don't value that type of hair. And the first thing we need to do is let go of that. Love your hair regardless of the texture. The moment you start accepting your hair for what it is, loving it, then you can go about educating yourself about how to care better for your hair. And the more educated you are about your hair care, you will start, you know, doing what is necessary to maintain your hair. And this is no hard and fast rule like so many persons have been hammering tonight. This is no hard and fast rule. It's about trial and error. It's about researching. It's about trying this, trying that, but do not overdo it. It takes patience. It takes learning about your hair. It's a long process. We were not taught about it in school. We're taught to love relaxed hair. We were taught to love, you know, straight hair. We're taught to love other people hair. But now accepting yours is the main thing that you need to really get on a healthy natural hair regimen. Once you can accept your hair for what it is, then you'll work harder to improve it. That's just my 2 cents.
Okay, I just wanted to add, I mean, we are talking about hair care, and I know it can be an overload of information. And we just wanted to highlight some very practical things that we need to have as females or persons as it relates to hair. Number one, ensure that you have a spray bottle with moisturizer in it. That's your number one thing to have. So we're giving you practical things to do. So just so you don't have an overload of information, you need to have an oil that works for you, right? Also a cream that works for you. And we can give recommendations here, but of course we heard from our presenters that it depends on your type of hair. So not everything will work for you. A satin cap is necessary for you to have as a female to sleep on, or a satin pillow or a satin scarf. And our panelists can stop me if I'm wrong. But these are important things to have hands down right on the bat to ensure that these are the things that you have most importantly. And then we're going to go into some other information. We're going to talk about, you know, DIYs, what you can do at home, do it yourself, products that you can make at home. Go ahead, Sasha. I see your mic has been unmuted.
Just one more thing I wanted to add. A lot of times naturalists, well, Samantha had made mention of that, naturalists being product junkies. I want to highlight that as well. That's one of the bad things that, you know, naturalists do that they're not supposed to be doing. When you are a product junkie, you won't know what really works for your hair. So you might be having breakage and using all sorts of products. I recommend that you try one product at a time. So don't be trying different lines of product. You will not know which one dries out your hair, which one breaks it, which one add moisture to it. So one at a time, slow it down. And if you find a routine that is working for you, stick to it. Don't be envious and want to, oh, because she's trying this product, I want to run and try it. I've had so many experiences. I've done 3 big chops before, right? I remember one particular product that I tried. I saw my sister using it and she had very long flowing natural hair. And I said, I want to try it. And I tried it out. I had bra strap length, almost close to bra strap length at that time. And when a day or 2 after using that product, I actually ended up with basically fur at the ends of my hair. It was terribly damaged. It came to like this and I had to do a big chop. So don't be in a haste. Don't be a product junkie. And if you really love trying new products, one step at a time, one day at a time, and give it a particular time period. Right. So give it a particular time period for it to work. So here they're showing, this was my final big chop that I did. And I did it in June 2020. And this is my hair. I took this picture a few days ago, right? I have learned so much. It's through trial and error. And I just want to tell you, don't be a product junkie. So that's a mistake that others naturalists make, and it can actually ruin your hair. And it can be an emotional journey. Some people become depressed because, oh, they lose their hair. But I just encourage myself that, okay, it's a trial and error. I just have to pick up the pieces, start again. Right? All right. So that's my take.
All right. We did have some questions that came in from the chat. Thank you so much, Sasha, for adding that. Questions we had talking about the importance of shampooing and conditioning. Well, we heard that as we went along in the program. It's very important to do these things. You're adding nourishment to the hair. We heard about how the body uses the nutrients that it has, so you're adding it also externally. So it's important to do these things so that your hair can grow healthily. There was a question that came asking, are gels harmful to the hair? That's number one. And what are your thoughts on taking supplements for hair growth? I don't know if Samantha wants to take that one on, and Sasha, if you have any comments, you can go ahead.
Sure. So the first question, is gel good for the hair? So yes and no. And the rule is simple. Some gels have in chemicals and some stuff that is really harmful for the hair, like alcohols and so on. What the alcohols do, it's dry the hair out, and other products strip the hair, and that can cause breakage. Some gels have protein in them, and you really have to be careful with that, especially, like I said earlier on, based on your hair's porosity. But there are other gels that are healthy for the hair. For example, flaxseed gel, that's really good. You have oatmeal gel, that's also good. Aloe vera gel. There are natural gels, and other people, can formulate products that have really natural ingredients in them that are known as gel, serve the same purpose. So you just have to be wise when you're choosing your gel based on the ingredients. You have to do your research, what is in them, what does it do to your hair, and then you know how to proceed where gels are concerned. What was the next question? Sorry.
What is your take on taking supplements? What is your opinion on that? Do you support that?
Yes, I support taking supplements, and here's why. For some persons, especially if their diet is very poor and their lifestyle is not one that helps their body to release enough nutrients to their hair follicles, I'll suggest taking supplements. If persons like suffering from alopecia, regardless of whatever type it is, I recommend for them to take supplements. But if you're having a balanced diet daily, you don't necessarily need to take supplements for hair growth. But if it is that you have a hair growth issue, it may be a lack of nutrients that you may not be absorbing from the food, or you may not eating those type of foods to get. So I support taking hair growth nutrients in those cases.
Okay. What about, okay, so we spoke about the gel, we heard that, but I know there are persons who uses certain gels. So do you have any recommendation of the type of gels that you think can be used in hairs? I know the Eco Gel is one of them, and they have several options in terms of some with black castor oil in it, some with flaxseed. What are your recommendations? Can you give some recommendations? Because we do have a lot of persons here who probably want to know, what do you recommend, the type of gels. Also, I saw another person put edge control. Persons are using edge control products. Do you have a recommendation, that you could tell persons to try, that you recommend, that you think would work? They are good options to try.
Sure, I do. So if you're not going to make your own gels, like make your flaxseed or your oatmeal gel, some good gels that are on the market is the kinky curly custard. That is the consistency of a gel. Another one, there's Eco, but I prefer Big Papa over Eco. Eco is good if you're trying to define your hair, but there's some amount of alcohol in Eco, so you have to be careful with it. You have to limit the amount that you use. when it comes to styling gel, people use it mostly, you know, to sleek their hair down or to do like a good wash and go for persons with kinky hair texture or, you know, curly hair that wants to wear their hair out. So it's not something I expect you to be doing on a long-term basis to damage your hair, because this whole program is about healthy hair and nourishing and taking care of your hair. But there are times when we want to sleek it down, we want a different look, and that is fine. You want to make sure you're not abusing the use. So when I'm telling you about these gels, it's not something that I want you to be doing every day. But just in case you want to try something new, these are options for you. Another option is the male gel. They are really good. It doesn't make your hair hard and it doesn't dries your hair out. Your hair still stay moisturized while still giving you the same effect. As it relates to edge control, my favorite so far, it doesn't last so long because our hair doesn't take talk like that. Well, my hair don't listen to nobody like that, but I like the Shine and Jam conditioning gel. It's the best I've seen so far that actually works for natural hair. My preferred one is the one in yellow. It is not the strongest whole, it's somewhere in the middle there. It's not the weakest one or the strongest one. I prefer to use that for braiding for persons that have fine strands or have that flyaway type of hair. If you use that gel to braid your hair, it will help the style to last longer. But again, you do not want to be constantly using these products because a lot of things that store-bought products have in common, however good they may be, is the preservatives. And a lot of these preservatives can actually build up on your hair over time. Shampoo don't remove them. Whether or not you want to believe it, they stay right there. They go in your follicles, and over time they can cause damage. And that's why a lot of persons tend to see a growth plateau, because by using these things over time, and if you're not seeing a professional to really get a professional treatment, to get a clarification and detox your scalp and hair every now and again, you may end up in crisis. So you just want to balance it out. That's all I want to say.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Sam. You know, I must say also a practical thing that we can do, because I use EcoStyler gel occasionally. You don't want to abuse it. But when using it, what you can do is moisturize your hair. And I have high porosity hair, so I use shea butter. And what I do is I ensure that my hair is well moisturized, and the shea butter acts as somewhat of a barrier. I know it still is on your hair, but it somewhat acts as a little barrier between the gel and your hair. And what I do afterwards is ensure not to leave it for an extended period of time. So if I do it for a week, I ensure that on the weekend, I wash it out, I clarify my hair, or I cleanse my hair, depends on what your hair calls for, and I go again. So don't abuse it, as well as ensure to moisturize your hair, because the alcohol level in the EcoStyler tends to dry out your hair. So moisturize, don't abuse it, and ensure that you cleanse after using the EcoStyler gel. So we're going on to the next question, and it is, how do you treat seborrheic dermatitis? And that is a scaly looking substance on your scalp. How do you treat seborrheic dermatitis? I'm not sure if our doctor or nurse would like to expound on what that means. That sounds like a big word, seborrheic dermatitis.
Right. So basically, it's a condition that affects the scalp and it causes dryness. There are various types. And what happens is that this particular condition can result as a result of temperature change. It can also be a natural thing in which your hair does not produce a lot of sebum, so you don't have a lot of oils. So you know that you have your sebaceous glands, and the sebaceous glands produce sebum. So the hair does not produce enough to cause moisturizing of the scalp. And then also, it can result as a result of shampooing. So some persons tend to over shampoo, so they wash the hair every single day, and that causes dryness. And if you do that, that will irritate the dermatitis. So you have to, I would encourage that particular individual who suffer from such a condition to seek consultation with your dermatologist, and based on the assessment, they will determine the right approach, how you're supposed to go about doing this. But I have reviewed a number of research, and it points to your wash days, how often you wash, because too much washing, the shampoo especially with sulfate shampoo, it can also cause drying of the scalp, which can aggravate the condition. So professionals may recommend sulfate to help treating dermatitis. I had just a small portion at the front of my head at one point, and I started using sulfate in my routine, and it has been working for me. I'm not saying that you should go ahead and try sulfate, that it is going to have, it necessarily will work for you, but if you want, you can, but I'm not telling you that it's a must that you should try it. But I have seen where other persons have mentioned that they have used it and they have gotten assistance with their hair. Also, antifungals also help, ketoconazole, those things, some prescribed medications, those actually help. So your doctor will tell you which is best based on the severity of the condition. Not sure if anybody else wants to add something else.
Well, let me just add this one point. One of the things you want to make sure, I mean, we're on the issue of hair and now we're touching scalp conditions. I just want to put this in. If you are suffering from a scalp condition and your doctor prescribed a shampoo for your hair, remember that the doctor is not catering for your hair. The doctor is going to cater for your skin. So the doctor is not going to be concerned as to whether the shampoo is going to dry your hair out. So this is where it's going to be the hairstylist's responsibility to help you to understand that this product that the doctor has prescribed might damage your hair, even though it will treat your scalp. So the best approach for that is to apply the product directly to the scalp. Allow it to sit on the scalp, work on what is going on with the scalp, and then do your regular wash afterwards. So even though it might have been a shampoo that was prescribed, it doesn't mean it's going to be good for your hair. It will be good for your scalp, but it can be very bad for your hair. So that's one point. I just want to put a pin right there because it's something I have experienced, that persons, they come in, they have a skin condition, they have to go to the dermatologist prescribes, but then the stylist has a part to play in that to ensure that whilst you're treating the scalp, you're still keeping the hair on the head.
Thank you. Thank you, Lydia. I saw that Samantha was coming in. You can go ahead.
Right. And might I add, with seborrheic dermatitis, no, this is something, again, you have to treat from inside out, because what it is actually is an overgrowth of the yeast hormone that is on the scalp. You know, seborrheic refers to the word, you know, it comes from, you know, the sebaceous gland, which release sebum, and dermatitis has to do with the skin and all of that. So in other words, if your sebaceous gland is overly active, you may be prone to seborrheic dermatitis. It is not a contagious condition, but it's something that can be very uncomfortable in terms of the flake, in terms of the itchiness, in terms of some persons have really bad seborrheic dermatitis, as in how many flakes they'll get. And that is embarrassing, especially going to the salon. People may think, especially if the hairdresser or the cosmetologist is not trained to deal with these type of things, they probably don't understand what it is. And that's why I suggest first to seek medical attention. But you want to pay attention to your diet. Your diet plays a lot. It's very important. Keep your stress level down. Stress does cause it to flare sometimes. Sorry about the noise in the background. And also, you want to make sure you're eating a lot of green leafy vegetables. You want to make sure you have healthy fats. You don't want canola oil. You don't want vegetable oils. You want some olive oil. You want some avocados. You want fats from your nuts. You want your coconut oil. You want these healthy oils. Try to lessen the amount of processed food that you eat. By changing your diet holistically, you'll realize your stress level by exercising and managing stress well and changing your diet, you will realize that your scalp, your skin will improve certainly more. I've seen this condition with my clients, and when they make that adjustment over time, they are able to control it. But as it relates to it being there are some things that you want to make sure that you're not doing to, aggravate the scalp, and certain things like products. You want to avoid products that have coloring added to the products, like products that have eye colors that are not necessarily their natural colors. Like if they're using natural stuff, that's not the natural colors they have in all of these colors, that can irritate it. That can make the condition worsen. You want to stay away from products that has alcohols in them, because these type of products is going to make the situation worse. They're going to cause a flare up, and that is going to be really uncomfortable for you. So you want to stick to neutral products that is mostly white or cream or in your natural state as possible. You want to stick to products that is not highly fragrant as well. And these are the things that you need to pay attention to if you have seborrheic dermatitis, otherwise known as, flaking off the scalp. Some person call it dandruff, whatever you think it is. That's pretty much the same thing. In babies, it's called cradle cap. So you just need to manage your health better internally, and then externally pay attention to the type of products that you're using on your scalp if you have this inflammation going on your scalp.
Wow, wonderful, wonderful. I hope that answers the questions that have been coming. I think I saw that question coming in a few times. I just want to also shout out to the persons who are on YouTube with us. Wonderful. You are here with us, and we know that you are here with us, and we just want to say hi, welcome. Thank you for sticking with us. And also for those who are still here, we'll be wrapping up in a few. There is a possibility, Danielle, that we may have to do a part 3 because we have so many questions coming in, and I know we have not even started to exhaust the information that is available. But before we go, we have a few questions that came in. I know the question about clipping off the hair ends came in earlier. I'm talking about hair growth. We can talk up to that. And then just some practical things that busy women, we have some women or females who have been on the go. They have no time to sit down and, get the hair going as they would want to, because as soon as they're in, they're out the door. So what are some of the recommendations you would give to women to moisturize or keep their hair moisturized and free from being dry and brittle? There's also one that just came in about the dyeing of the hair, if that can damage the hair. So we talk about the clipping of the ends, if that helps with hair growth, some recommendations to keep women's hair from being brittle, and of course, especially busy women, and also the dyeing of the hair, what that does to the hair.
Benita, we're so excited for these questions to be answered. We are so happy with the persons joining us from YouTube. We love you, and